Hey guys, this is LCS Week 5 review. So, we went 0-2. Yep, we went 0-2 versus Shopify and Energy. The two teams that we had a 1-0 victory over, and if we won against them this week, we would have been 2-0, which means there's no tiebreakers if we had even score, which is quite useful. And of course, the scoreline of 5 and 6 would have put us in the same mark as Dignitas and Team Liquid, which makes contesting playoff spots way better. And you can also technically contest into the higher, like, 4th and possibly 3rd positions. Now, really all we can get is 6th place. That is the best we can do. We need luck, and we really need the 3-0. We literally cannot drop a single game. If we drop a single game, most likely we're out, and we're not making playoffs. So, against Shopify this week, if I recall correctly, and I should probably double check this real quick, just to make sure I'm not forgetting. Oh, so they might not actually have the match history on here. Okay, it is this one. So, for this one, if you notice, this is us playing the Smolder versus the Senna. As I recall, we were playing red side, and Nautilus hooked us level 1. And then they kind of zoned us on bot side, and we dropped a ton of CS. And then Boogie was kind of waiting in the try, and he pounced on us and killed us. And so bot lane at that point was in a very dire state. At a certain point, Tactical was level 7 to enemy level 9. And yeah, I mean, like, you just, like, Smolder, when Smolder's behind, it's absolutely worthless and can't do anything. And I will admit that, like, Shopify having the Ivern definitely put them on a different path than expected in some ways. Like, Ivern, there were certain things I knew that we could maybe expose them level 1 from, but the fact that they had Ivern kind of eliminated that option altogether. And it was just, I don't know, it was a little bit of a different take for them, obviously, since the break, and it was good by them. It was good. I mean, their top laner did get fucked over, but in the end, it's like, it's Gnar, and we had Gnar, Azir, Volibear. Contesting some objectives was a little awkward. Some of our timings to use spells was awkward. Couldn't really dive too deep at times. It was just not great, to say the least. It was not great. So, we lost against them. That was a really pivotal and super important game because we would have been 2 over Shopify, have a win over them, and most likely Shopify would never be contesting playoff spot. And if they did and they evened out versus us, we would just take it. So that was a really rough loss. And then against Energy, we killed Palafox level 1. We met Poppy bot lane at 4 minutes, called him out, killed him, and it looked good, but we weren't able to repunish mid that often until like the 10 or 11 minute mark, and that's with playing like Azir and Volibear. So Palafox kind of escaped losing his flash and dying early, and we didn't even really have a CS lead on mid either, so that was not great. And we got Baron, though, and we had a good Baron power play. That's how we lost the second Baron, even though we have Callista, and that was just not acceptable, to be honest. It's not acceptable to lose it when you have Callista. And it's not like he had a good smiting champion either. So we lost that. Then they got momentum, and the Dragon contests were already being really weird at that point. So at that point, it just kind of devolved. Like, we just didn't have the right mindset, the right approaches towards dragons, towards fights. We got antsy pushing lanes out too much, or trying to, like, draw them in. It kind of made us make weird decisions. So Energy beat us. We lost to Shopify. We have to go 3-0 next week. If we don't, we're not going to make playoffs, and we need some luck. All these 3 teams have some pretty tough schedules. So it is possible to do it. It's just going to be hard. The next storyline is Cloud9. Are they back? They had a way better draft versus FlyQuest. FlyQuest, I don't know what they were cooking, but it was bad. It was really bad against Cloud9. And Blabber just they just ran them through top lane and just kind of snowball. And the Tank Azir versus little damage, huge wonders. The TL Energy game was, sorry, before I actually move on to that, I should talk about TL versus C9 as well. That game C9 actually should have lost, but they didn't because APA played terribly and Yan was okay, but their mid laner was just non-factor and just kind of pushing waves he shouldn't be pushing. He should really be with his team. And even in cases where he died trying to TP out, but he could have just used his Taliyah wall to get out. There was a lot of weird decisions being made by APA, and JoJo was the complete opposite. JoJo was taking the fight to them and playing really well, and he kind of rallied the troops around himself with Berserker Smolder, and yeah, they won. So C9 climbed back out of that one, didn't drop it, which is a good sign to them, because if it was them in previous weeks, they would have dropped that game, but they didn't. So they go 2-0. Now they could technically, go for first place, but it's very unlikely because FlyQuest has easier opponents. So most likely FlyQuest will find first place secured because, 100 Thieves was able to beat Dig, and that set them up for that first place match. But FlyQuest won because, I don't know what to say, but Quid's karma was very weird. There was a point where he tethered Jensen in top lane with Sniper TPing, and instead of flash for flash following with tether on the Orianna, he just let him go. And that was very weird. And generally the mantra Qs were just not hitting. Literally they were not hitting. And they kind of just started making random mistakes, over forcing things, and FlyQuest just picked them apart. And yeah, I mean, it looked a little similar to the first time they played them, and that's okay still, because 100 Thieves has more rookies, has more growth to be gained compared to FlyQuest. And if they're already catching up to FlyQuest in the first split, either FlyQuest's bot lane will really grow out compared to what they are now, and that will kind of change things up. But generally, I feel like the way they have it set up and everything, FlyQuest kind of looks the same. After the break, I don't feel like there's a big difference in their play. Maybe the only difference is the fact that it looks like Bwipo's doing more, but outside of that, it didn't look like a huge difference. So 100 Thieves is continuing to develop and grow in the direction they're doing. And if Cloud9 is coming back, that means you have 3 main teams fighting for playoffs, fighting for championship, and it's not a good sign for FlyQuest, or at least for spring. Great sign for 100 Thieves, and great sign for our C9. I'm not including Energy, because even though Energy went 2-0 this week, it was a rough 2-0. They're still making constant random unforced errors, and you can't depend on people. You literally cannot depend on their players because they're just still making random ass mistakes. Dokla looks terrible. Terrible. This guy is, I don't know, this guy is just playing so bad. I'm almost certain there's better players you could pick up in NACL compared to Dokla based on this split. So who knows if they'll do a different direction, but to me at this point, I had an Energy at A tier team coming into this split, and now they're a B tier, if that. I'm just not feeling it. And maybe it is in part the fact they don't have Ignar to kind of steer fights in the direction as well. I mean, Hui did literally win a game as Nautilus against TL. He literally won the game because he caught APA, but who knows? Maybe Ignar really did make a big difference. I mean, it definitely doesn't help that, Dokla is playing bad. Dokla is bad right now, so that's definitely not good. And I didn't really touch on Dignitas, but them beating Shopify was really important for them in the end. This means that they have a real shot at making playoffs. And Dignitas are pretty much ensuring they're beating the right teams. You know, like they're 0-2 versus 100. They might be 0-2 versus C9. They might be 0-2 versus FlyQuest. But look, 2-0 versus Shopify. 2-0 against us. 1-1 against Energy. Maybe they could beat TL. Like, they're beating the right teams to maintain a chance for playoffs, which is what my team should have done, but we were unable to. So at least Dignitas, the way they play, you know, it's not a championship level team. It's just not when they have XQ and Tomo. But I will say that XQ has looked better this split. I will say that. And yeah, I'll be surprised. I'm surprised that the team is actually a bit better than I anticipated. So that is good for them. And then for TL, like, they just have issues with their non-Koreans. Like, they're just not performing as well as their trio. So with one last week, playoffs on the line, and also trying to play for a championship, like, I don't think there's anything Shopify can really do to kind of turn things around. I think they just don't have the manpower of players to kind of do it. And if they do it, it'll be a miracle run, and that's awesome. Because, I mean, they've had less time to practice the other teams because Bavoy came late, but if they are able to finish it out, awesome. If Dig can do it, that's mostly because they kind of kept things together long enough. TL, similar vibe. But like, for instance, with Dig, I don't think they have as much growth potential compared to like TL. If TL got their shit together, specifically their mid AD, because if those two guys start performing, or at least like playing the way they should be playing, then that team shoots back up to like A tier. Like, they could definitely be there if they wanted to, but for now, it seems like it's just Impact, Core JJ cheering them. Specifically impacting Like, these guys are definitely playing better and better. And then Cloud9, like I said, you know, for a playoff race, FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, C9, you know, unless the other 5 teams, like, figure things out, like, plug the holes, I doubt they're going to be contesting these top 3 teams. You know, for my team, I have faith that we can be there, especially from our practice and stuff. But in the end, what speaks the most? Your win-loss record and how you perform on stage. And if you can't perform on stage, who cares about how well you do in like scrims and practice? Like, it doesn't matter. So a lot of pressure on us, a lot of pressure to get it done, win, and show that we actually can compete versus the other teams. But if we don't, well, kind of disproves that, yeah, it's pretty hard to contest these top 3 teams. So that is the Week 5 LCS review. Thank you for watching, everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you until next time.